Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Zoe Hawkins, and my friend and co-host Jo Wheatley.
Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about how to build or your coaching team. And the reason we're talking about that is when we reflect on that point at which we started our coaching business, I sort of have that feeling that we thought quite small. And with the benefit of hindsight and what we've learned and what we've seen in the coaching world, I think if I were to go back and start again, I'd have some different ideas. So we thought there's a lot of you that may be at that stage or even before that stage and, thinking about training to be coaches. And it might be helpful for us to share a little bit of what we see, what our thoughts and ideas would be around that. And we can also share with you how we're building our team in good company.
Absolutely. It's also inspired, isn't it, by the coaching summit that we have at the moment. Many of you will know the coaching summit is open for registrations over at igcompany.co.uk/summit 24, where we've brought together speakers and they're collaborating to host masterclasses and workshops over the 3rd and 4th of July. And that has been born out of a sense of, oh, we have similar audiences and we have a shared passion. So actually, we're a great fit. Let's come together and host a session. And I think at the early days of business, or certainly what drew you and I together, was that sense of, hang on a minute, we're both passionate about the same things. We've both got the same goals. We've both got the same values. Like, why are we going to do this independently when we could come together and do it together? And so that is some of the thinking that started our business. And what's been lovely over the years of running our coaching training qualifications is we do see people from cohorts coming together to collaborate. So we witnessed two people run a retreat recently. We've had two people form almost like a shared consultancy when they have their own businesses also on the side. So collaborations are an absolutely brilliant way to bring together skills and strengths to widen out what you're able to offer from being just one person. So more inspiration, coming from our clients really as well.
I mean, just imagine the difference between having, let's say, five of you as coaches coming together and forming a business where you can offer things at scale, for example, to organizations versus you as an individual coach kind of pitching to work, one on one with a certain number of individuals, and also what you can energetically hold as well in terms of the things that you're delivering. And what we find as one of the benefits of working together is just that bouncing things off each other and things developing and not, and just, you know each person almost taking, oh, and this, oh, we could do this, yeah, and we could do that, and that's really great. Now, obviously, the more people there are, the more complicated that it could get. And as you just mentioned, so your business model, maybe you all work in one business together, or it might be you have your own business and you have a combined business, or you have your own business and you collaborate around a particular project. So there are lots of different business models that you could lean into. But I think we see so many people, or the very vast majority of people are thinking about coaching on their own. And we just really want to prompt you to start to think about, is that really the way that I want to work? Because we also see people who qualify as coaches and they're developing their coaching business, and then they'll start to reach a point where they're like, I really miss working as part of a team.
Mm.
As much as I love what I do, there is this yearning in me, and they're so passion led around coaching, wanting to do coaching. The business and what they know about themselves in business was something that was kind of maybe underdeveloped or not given equal attention. And sometimes we just have to learn through experience. And, it's not until we do it that we realize that. So just something maybe to give some consideration to, even in those very early stages, or as you either meet people on your qualification. And another way is you partner up with people who aren't coaches. So your coaching provides a real value add to, for example, like a HR consultancy or some other service that businesses need, and they need that extra expertise, and that benefits both of you, increases the visibility, for both of you too.
Mm. I think a lot of the time, when we talk about starting out, but it can be any step of the journey, can't it? It's how big can you dream
Mm,
about your business? And when what I'm thinking of, there's a coach that I met on my supervision training, and from the outset, she's built a almost like a consultancy, a coaching consultancy. So she uses commercial acumen to go after big contracts and brings coaches in behind those contracts right out of the gate. So she didn't do the personal branding piece. She did that. I'm growing a business here,
mm,
and this is how my business is going to look. And this is the vision of my business. And of course, her journey on developing that has been, having ups and downs as is something else. But the vision was very different from the outset. And so I think whilst you may see lots of people treading the path of forming a one-to-one, becoming a one-to-one coach and forming that personal brand, it doesn't have to be that way. There are lots of different models that you can do, and challenge yourself to dream and think big, and stretch the goal. Even if it might feel unachievable, that's okay. Like you can work on that. That's a mindset piece. But start with dreaming around how would you like to be working, 5 or 10 years from now. I can remember us having a conversation in very early days of our business around 10 years time, and kind of having that, imagine if we apply ourselves in the same way that we've applied in our career, where could we be
mm,
in 10 years time? Now, that
mm,
interesting, that 10 years time for us was, I think, COVID,
mm, mm,
wasn't it? And
mm.
that was the year where our business really started to fly because we'd built our confidence. So, overnight success can happen for some, but if you're working with passion, like you're in this for the long haul. And those 10 years for Joe and I were still successful, full of lots of learning, but we really honed not only our business skills, but our coaching and our leadership, and so much that accumulated in us being able to really catapult our business forward. So it's worth thinking about that future state.
Yeah, yeah. And I think part of it for us has been we always had the belief that we could create something truly meaningful and impactful. And that has driven us from day one. Would when it's one of you, when you if you have the ups and downs, which you will at different times, what is it that enables you to keep going? And sometimes it's the other person, you wanting to honor the other person. We still got that shared vision of what we want to create. But actually at the moment for us, we're also in a phase of feels like we're on the cusp of expanding again. And so I'm really sort of contemplating, like, am I ready to grow in the way that this business might need me to grow in the future? So that work is not a one piece of work, right in the beginning, designing. It's an ongoing reflective piece for us, isn't it? All the time. What do we need? What are we wanting to create? What resources do we need? Do we feel that we've got the finances to be able to do it? Have we got the time, the mental capacity to be able to do what's needed to, up level or expand the business again? And there is that certain point in time when the business almost feels like it's not yours anymore. So it's really interesting because I think lots of coaches form a coaching business because they may be tired of being in an organization answerable to other people and really crave the independence and the freedom that can come from having your own business, and it being in the form of a coaching business which is truly aligned to your values, so you don't feel compromised maybe in a way you might have felt in your career in other places. But as your business develops and it becomes something in its own right, it's almost like it becomes a person in its own right. So like you and I have this coaching business, but we've got In Good Company as this other, you know, body, if you like, in our business. And then as we built out our team, um, it's a really interesting dynamic, and we're at the point now where we're recruiting again. So and we're bringing in a brand new role which will change our relationship, again, to the business. It's making space for other people to come and join us and be part of what we're creating. And for us, it's more than a job. It is really about bringing us and connecting us with people that get it, that get what we're trying to create and really want to contribute to that and the legacy that we want to create in the world through our coaching business.
Yeah, I mean, we were very slow to recruit. I think, in hindsight, we had a virtual assistant doing something like 5 hours for us at a time when our business is really busy. And when that virtual assistant needed to move on, we took the punt to hire full time. And amazingly, that full time role was busy, within like the first couple of months. It was a very full role. But we were very cautious when we recruited the first time. We were very quiet. We approached people that we knew, and we were very careful around who we brought on and how we did that. And our confidence has now grown, and we're much more courageous around how vocal we are about how we're recruiting and who we want to recruit and the process that we're going to go through to bring that person on board. And I think when you're an independent coach, you will build a team around you. Your team may not look like a Joe, an administrator, a manager. It might look like a cleaner 3 hours a week. It might look like your partner who looks after the children one evening a week so that you can get back to your desk and do a bit more. Like, you will have a team to support you in achieving what you want to achieve. Or if you haven't thought about that, I would encourage you to think about that. Like, where are the small places that you can bring in support? And it may not look like your classic support, but also thinking about what are the activities that you need to get to and hate. And that might be your invoicing, or it might be your social media, or it may be some other aspect to your coaching. And just think about, an hour a week, 2 hours a week, 3 hours a week of virtual assistant support. How might that help you to free up your time to do something else? And as I say this from the future state, having held back on recruiting for so long, but the way that we're now thinking about this new role that we're creating is that role will generate the value in salary that we are investing into that role, because it has to, and so we will be able to use the time that this role is freeing up for us to go and generate additional value in the business. And value, it comes not just monetary, but in lots of different ways. So think about that from a CEO's mindset rather than an independent, perhaps small mindset, where you can think around, if I was to invest in this support, what would that enable me to generate in my business? And I think when you think of it as an investment rather than a cost, it starts to change the energy at which you make those decisions.
And it's scary. I mean, it's scary when you've got this, clear vision or emerging vision of what it is that you're creating, and it feels simple and you can just about hold it. And then when you think about bringing somebody else in and the responsibility you have towards that other person, that can be a thing that can put you off it. But I think it's also when you're in more short-term day-to-day thinking, rather than kind of rising up and looking at, okay, what's the trajectory that I want this business of mine to go on? Now, not everybody wants to grow their business. Some people want to grow it to a certain level and they want to sustain that. And that's great, because this is all about you designing and achieving the life that your best life, your version of that. And of course, that may change over time. But I think if we're able to kind of, rise above the everyday to day detail and look at what is it you're creating, what is it the world needs from you in this work, then that might help you to start to take what may feel like a big risk in the beginning. And Zoe and I had so many conversations about so many different roles in our business, and we now have a team of 15 people, enabling our business In Good Company to do what it does. And I'm really proud to say that the experience that everybody has with each person in our team honors their individuality, but also that feeling that they are getting a consistent level of care and consideration and quality, whichever program or part of the program that people are part of. So our fears around that have been allayed, which has enabled us to create the latest role. in our business. And if you're interested in looking at the roles, you can find them at igcompany.co.uk/roles.
Yeah, it is scary and it's exciting. I
Mm-hmm.
think, when you put that sort of lens on as well, like the lens of possibility. And of course, depending what phase of business you're at, your team may not be paid roles. Your team might be that you are doing things like collaborations. You are seeking out peers in the industry who you respect. Perhaps you see somebody who you really align to and you're making approaches. Or it might be that you form a relationship with people who you've been in contact with, perhaps from your coaching training or from CPD programs that you've done, and they become your support network. So perhaps you meet once a month, like a virtual team meeting, to share ideas, to discuss things that are happening in your business, or maybe it's peer supervision. But thinking about, like, where are the different places you can start to think about, what does the team look like that I need to be able to resource me and energize me to keep moving in the direction that I want to move in. Because I do think personally that being an independent coach can get lonely. I'm an introvert. I enjoy my own company and I can spend a lot of time in my office. But if I didn't have you, Jo, and I didn't have the clients that I had and I didn't have other people, I would soon tire of the momentum. So I could get stuff done, but my momentum would look very different. I mean, the pace that you and I work at is fast. And I think it's only that way because we have people around us and we get the energy from that. So, team can look different for lots of different people, but I think as you embark on your journey to become a coach, whatever phase you're on, pause and reflect. Do I have the team that I need to create my version of success?
And think about the story that you tell other people. So, when people say, "Oh, what are you doing now?" Are you going to find yourself saying, "Oh, I'm just doing a bit of coaching," or "I'm just about to launch my coaching business," or do you find yourself saying, I'm launching my coaching business, and I've got plans to grow over the next X period of time, or I'm collaborating with X and Y, and we're going to be working with organizations, or what's the energy that you are talking about your business with? And so as you've listened to the podcast today, and we've touched upon various different models and options, and maybe you've thought of something we haven't mentioned, notice the response in your body. What does your body tell you? Was there something that we mentioned where something lit up, something moved in your body? And maybe there is like a conflict within you that might point to, actually, this is something that you want to do, but what's getting in the way of that? And so think about whether there's any coaching that you want to have to be able to support you to create what you really want to create. Don't be shy about it. Anything is possible for you to achieve. You just need to basically role model the way you support your clients. And also that these are the reasons why we created our business lounge, is to support people, is for coaches to be able to support each other, to inspire each other, to take some of the legwork away. Think about the amount of research we all have to do. Well, if somebody has already done it or can share that experience with you, then that's great. And with the coaching summit, giving people the experience of being part of an event, which is a community, we're putting it on as a community really of coaches. And we know that people are scared and they don't understand the tech, and we're trying to break that down, share our experience to be able to help to propel them forwards. And that for us is an important part of how we like to contribute to the coaching world. So when you're thinking about the business that you want to create and the ways you want to expand it, it also isn't only in terms of the team, but it's about your contribution to the world. And you may have some paid services, you may have some free services or discounted services for different people, depending on the way you want to contribute to the world.
Yeah.
So expansion is a big part. Growth is like, it just underpins everything that coaching is, learning and growth. And so how is that going to play a part in the way that you design your own coaching business?
Yes. And we've mentioned the summit a few times. We mentioned it on our podcast last week. We are still taking registrations for the coaching summit. It's an event of the coaches from our business lounge showcasing, different workshops and masterclasses about a range of different coaching topics. That takes place on the 3rd and 4th of July. If you can't make it live, do register, because you can catch the replays and you can attend one or all the sessions. Come and join the fun, and you can register at igcompany.co.uk/summit24. We look forward to seeing you there.
There will be 19 speakers, and Zoe and I will also be running bonus sessions where you can come and chat to us about our programs, and we'll be able to answer all of the questions you've got and enable you to book. And there'll be a brilliant opportunity for people that book during that period to join us on our podcast recording. So if you've been listening for a long time and thinking about training to be a program, and you'd love to be part of the very first kind of open house podcast recording, then definitely now is the time to book. And you can start by booking yourself onto the summit.
Yeah, you'll find all the details of that special bonus offer when you register for the summit. And we can't wait to see who is going to join us on this special podcast recording. It's going to be an intimate and up close interaction with Jo and I and this very podcast. So we'll see you there.